สมมุติว่าเราย่อโลกให้เล็กลงประมาณบ้านนี้ครับแรกๆก็สงบดีแต่พอมีพวกเราที่เพิ่มขึ้นทุกวันแออัดเลยแล้วสมมุติว่านี่คือทรัพยากรของบ้านนี้
โอ้ของเพียบเลย
รออะไรครับ
เอาเลยไหม
เราก็ใช้กันไปทุกวันแหละครับใช้ครั้งเดียวแล้วก็
เดี๋ยวก็ไม่อยู่แล้วอย่าคิดมาก
ทำอะไรกันนะ
ก็เข้าใจนะครับว่าเรื่องอนาคตก็คงเป็นเรื่องไกลตัวแต่ความจริงก็คือทรัพยากรมันมีวันหมดทำไงดี
ทำใจเหลือแต่ขวดแล้ว
นะ
เปลี่ยนการใช้ก่อนไหมใช้ให้คุ้มก่อนขวดพลาสติกเอาไปหมุนแปรรูปเป็นน้ำมันเชื้อเพลิงเป็นเสื้อผ้าเป็นรองเท้ายังได้
โอ้
กากกาแฟก็เอาไปหมุนให้เป็นปุ๋ยชั้นดีปลูกอะไรก็งาม
ว้าว
มือถือถ้าใช้ไม่ได้แล้วก็เอาไปแปรรูปเป็นทองแดงนิกเกิลทองคำแผงวงจรก็ได้นี่ถุงพลาสติก
ลองใส่เทคโนโลยีเข้าไป
ก็เป็นพื้นถนนได้เสื้อเก่าๆโอ้โหเป็นกางเกงยีนตัวใหม่กระดาษใช้แล้วก็ไม่ใช่แค่กระดาษเดี๋ยวถ้ามันพังก็เอาไปซ่อมก่อนใช้ได้อีกนานสรุปง่ายๆเลยนะครับหมุนเวียนกลับมาใช้ให้คุ้มค่านี่ไม่ใช่เรื่องของคนรุ่นต่อไปแต่เป็นเรื่องของพวกเราที่อยู่บ้านเดียวกันนี่แหละ SCG Circular Way
SCG Passion for Better
อีกแล้วน่าสงสารใช่ไหมล่ะครับแล้วรู้ไหมว่าขยะเหล่านี้มาจากไหนถูกครับแต่นี่เป็นเพียงแค่ 20% ของขยะที่อยู่ในท้องทะเลแล้วขยะอีกกว่า 80% มาจากไหนมาจากคลองมาจากฝนตกมาจากลมรถหมาหรือพวกเราที่อาจไม่ได้ตั้งใจหรือตั้งใจขยะกว่า 80% ในท้องทะเลเกิดจากการใช้ชีวิตของพวกเราทุกคนเราสร้างได้เราก็แก้ได้เปลี่ยนมาทิ้งขยะให้ถูกที่จุดเริ่มต้นเล็กๆเพื่อโลกที่น่าอยู่ของเรา
SCG Passion for Better
ไปทะเลกันดีกว่าปล่อยใจให้สุขสันต์ไปเล่นนมสู่สดชื่นและสมหวังเลนั้นเป็นเพื่อนไปทะเลกันดีกว่าไปทะเลกันดีกว่าไปทะเลกันดีกว่า
ไม่ว่าขยะจะเกิดขึ้นที่ไหนก็
ก็มักจะมีจุดจบที่นี่ที่ไม่รัก
มาร่วมกันเป็น The Sea Saver ผู้พิทักษ์ทะเลกันนะคะ
เริ่มง่ายๆ ด้วยการทิ้งให้ลงถังไม่ทิ้งลงแหล่งน้ำ
และมาร่วมทำกิจกรรมดีๆ เพื่อทะเลของเรา
ไปทะเลกันดีกว่า
ขยะในทะเล แก้ที่บนฝั่ง
SCG Passion for Better.
I can feel the wind, I can touch the sun, and they're smiling to me. I can hear the song, birds singing along. They sing a song for me, like a beautiful playground. We can sing and play around. Hold my hand, can you see how beautiful the world be? Can't you see? Hold my hand, can you see how beautiful the world be? Can't you see? Hold my hand, can you see how beautiful the world be? Can't you see? Hold my hand, can you see how beautiful the world be? Can you see? Together we can make it beautiful.
SCG Passion for Better.
เราไม่ควรอยู่ด้วยกัน เราแยกกันเถอะ เราไม่ได้จะแยกกันไปไหนหรอก แต่เราจะมาแยกเจ้าสิ่งนี้ต่างหาก เราอยู่ด้วยกันมานาน ต่างคนก็ต่างมีไลฟ์สไตล์เป็นของตัวเอง เมย์เองเป็นคนชอบทานมากๆ ขยะเศษอาหาร หรือขยะบรรจุภัณฑ์ก็จะเยอะหน่อย ส่วนมูก็ชอบสั่งของออนไลน์ ยิ่งช่วงที่ผ่านมาอยู่บ้านตลอด ขยะเหล่านี้ก็เพิ่มมากขึ้น เลยจำเป็นมากๆ ที่เราจะต้องแยกขยะกันอย่างถูกต้อง ง่ายที่สุดก็แค่แยกขยะเปียก และขยะแห้งหรือขยะรีไซเคิลออกจากกัน
I
แล้วนำไปทิ้งในถังแยกขยะส่วนกลาง ที่คอนโดหรือหมู่บ้านจัดไว้ให้ ไม่ต้องกังวลเลยว่าแยกแล้วขยะจะไปไหน ใช่ค่ะ เพราะมีหลายหน่วยงานเลยที่จะนำขยะที่เราแยกไปจัดการให้ถูกต้อง
สวัสดีทุก
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen from online and offline, and welcome to SD Symposium 2020 Circular Economy Action for Sustainable Future. I am Patira Asaratiprat from SCG, and I will be your MC today. This year is the first time that we conduct our symposium in virtual mode, and everyone can enjoy our event wherever you are, even though we are far away, but we are not that distance away. And I am sure that today you will have a lots of well-packed day like any other years. SD Symposium is the event that SCG held for 11 consecutive years, and our consecutive is to share our knowledge and experience and to help driving execution in order to form up collaboration with all stakeholders and lead us to sustainable development. In this year, we are still focusing on driving circular economy, and this is the third consecutive years for the same theme. And in the first year, we told you about what is the circular economy and how can we apply it. And the second year, we talked about the collaboration. And in this year, we will continue to expand our collaboration even further to drive circular economy and help us solve the environmental emergency. This year, we have 4 key focuses, which are water, agriculture, waste management, and construction industry. And first of all, I would like to welcome Kun Rungrod Rangsiropat, the President and CEO of SCG, to give you a formal welcome. Please join us on the stage. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to SD Symposium 2020, and this year's theme is Circular Economy and Action for Sustainable Future. This is the 11th consecutive years where we have SD Symposium, and this is the third in Circular Economy theme. As you can see that our environmental situation and the problems, everything has become more severe. And the severity is not just limited to the degree of the issue, but the degrees of its volatility, including the bushfire earlier in Australia, including the flooding and typhoon, as well as other issues. And at the same time, our population, the global population is increasing, and as we have more population in our world, the natural resource consumption also increased follow suit. Earlier this year, we faced the COVID-19 pandemic, and even at the moment, this is one of the biggest problems where the world is facing. Today, the numbers of infected population is more than 50 million populations. At the same time, the death rate of this pandemic is climbing higher than 1.2 million. We face numbers of issues like lockdown and the change in the social, economic, and lifestyles. And we also talk about what we call new normal. We have applied our safety equipments, including face masks, gloves, and more single-use plastics. These incur even higher waste than we expected. COVID-19 enlightened us. It helped us wake up and see, and to prepare for what we have never seen before, including environment, waste, and natural resource usage. These will become a very big problem in our near future. Circular economy is one of the solutions for all of us in solving this global emergency. If we cannot carry out circular economy and apply ourselves to our work and to our new lifestyles, without that, this issue will become even more severe. And I believe that everybody has their part in driving the economy and put circular economy into practice. SCG is also part of our communities, and we are at a place where we have an active role in forming collaboration and inviting all populations to join us on board in circular economy effort. And for this year's SD Symposium, we have 4 key pre-sessions where we have hundreds of participants from all sectors and societies, including the business, the manufacturing, the academics, SMEs, agriculture, as well as the social enterprises. And our first pre-session is about the water management system, and the second is the agriculture, circular economy, and the third one is about the waste management, and the last part will be the circular economy in construction industry. I would like to thank all of our participants today for joining us in this year's SD Symposium. What you can see in this year is our network of alliance has expanded from 45 partners to 180 partners, and this should make all of us proud in our work, and I hope that all of your inputs can help driving our partnership in circular economy even further, improving our efficiency and cover more ground beyond our society, our country, and even our region. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a good day. And thank you very much, Mr. Rungrod Langsiyopat. And this is SCG's determination in order to drive circular economy and to help expanding circular economy for sustainable development. Next, let me bring you to our session Inspiration Talk. And today we are honored by 4 experts from different sectors. And all of our guests has been proven that circular economy can be applicable to all sectors, and all of them will be sharing their experience in driving circular economy in different contexts. First, we have His Excellency Varavut Silapa Acha, the Minister of Natural Resources and Environment. Then the second, Mr. Jacob Duer, the President and Chief Executive Officer, Alliance to End Plastic Waste. Third, we have Mr. Robert Candelino, the Chief Executive Officers from Unilever Group of Thai Companies and Inland ASEAN. And last, we have Mr. Poom Tansirimat, inspiring youth on waste management. I am sure that you will certainly be inspired by our special speakers, and please welcome our guest speakers for today's keynotes. The environmental issue in Thailand and our world, ladies and gentlemen, if you compare it with a pot of boiling water, if you throw a frog into the boiling water, if it is filled with boiling water, the frog will jump and leap away from the pot. But on the other hand, if we put the frog in cold water and slowly heat it up 1 centigrade at a time, the frog will not jump out of the pot and it will die. Ladies and gentlemen, the environmental issue for everyone in Thailand and anywhere, we are like a sitting frog on the top of the stove pots, and the temperature is increasing if we do not change anything. Doesn't matter how good the policy is, no matter how execution is strict is, in the end, the environmental issue in Thailand and in the world will come back to us as we have more populations and less natural resources. Therefore, we need to find the right balance. This is the key to our success in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. And there are 2 SDG goals. Goal number 12, Responsible Consumption and Production, and goal number 13, Climate Action, or Climate Change. As all of you know, BCG economy stands for the Bio-Circular and Green Economy. Bio-Circular and Green. This is the business model that will help Thailand and every country achieve our sustainable development goal. We are focusing on reuse our resource and maximize the usage while minimizing the waste and the natural resource use as we reduce our waste from usage or production down to what we call zero waste. And we have 4 aspects under this concept. First, for the manufacturing, we promote more durable product production with longer shelf life or usage life. We apply what we call EPR or Extended Producer Responsibility in this practice. We ask all producers to be more responsible for the product they produce, such as electrical appliance. If the producer can buy back and refurbish their products, this can help us reduce a lot of waste in the landfill. And the second is usage and consumption. We promote green procurement practice. We want it to be more environment friendly, as well as driving for eco label, or what we call environmental footprint sticker, that indicates each types of the product, how much of CO2 that each product creates, or the CO2 unit equivalent. And in the future, we will try to drive the stickers and all products to show us the CO2 emission rate, so we know which product is more friendlier to the environment. Thirdly is about waste management. We promote waste sorting and recycling, including household waste and the packaging. Especially, as you can see, during COVID-19, we have seen a lot more waste in the landfill. And for Bangkok, we have a plan to reduce the landfill down to 38% by 2035. And we want to improve the waste management efficiency and to promote recycling and awareness, especially in the waste sorting. We use 3R principle, which are reduce, reuse, and recycling, and that we can help minimizing the energy consumption in the waste management as well. And the last one, the fourth one, is to use the secondary or to upcycling the product. Especially, we want to promote recycling and use the recycled materials as well as upcycling to retrieve and to reuse the product in a better manner, including the household waste and also at the industrial level. We have a project called เปลี่ยนพลาสติกให้เป็นบุญ or circular plastic drop point, working with มือพิเศษ and to return plastic home campaign. This is a collaboration between the public, private, and social enterprises in order to help improving the waste management practices in a more sustainable manner. We have, at the moment, 43 plastic drop points, and we have a plan to cover all areas in Bangkok and vicinity. We want to expand to 300 drop points by next few years. And as of the first part of this year, we, on behalf of the ministry and Thai population, we came up with a campaign called Say No to Plastic Bag, and it has been very effective. And to reduce and reuse the plastic bags, so we can reduce a lot of plastic bag killed in the process. Today, we started to see Thai people carry their own bags and bottle flask, and we have come quite a long way, too far to return to where we used to be. We want to change Thai society and to improve Thai environment. And in order to drive Thai economy from now on, everything must be around environment, sustainability, and to maintain our resources for the next generation and generations to come. Today, the first thing that we need to do is we need to start with ourselves. Look no further. We can reduce, reuse, and stop wasting our natural resources, and everything comes back to what we call bio-circular and green economy in order to drive Thailand's economy forward with our populations all over Thailand. Together, we can do it.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency Minister Vera Wood, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates. First, I want to thank Kuhn Room Group and the SYMPOSIUM Cement Group for inviting me to speak at today's symposium. At the end of 2019, we introduced to you the Alliance to End Plastic Waste. But since then, a lot has happened. For one, COVID-19 has changed the world forever. And within this time, we have also witnessed the plastic waste challenge becoming bigger. While COVID-19 has heightened people's awareness of plastic waste, we have also seen nations grapple with policies around this issue. In fact, in 2020 alone, there have been several scientific research papers that have addressed this topic, and the trends are clear. Plastic waste entering the environment has become even more pronounced in the past 5 years. 11 million tons leak into the ocean annually, and if we don't do anything today, this number will rise to 29 million tons by 2040. A challenge of such global proportions needs a global response. And this is why, and the very reason why, the world's largest companies came together in 2019 to form the Alliance to End Plastic Waste. We started with just over 20 member companies, and today that number has grown to over 50 companies. That also includes our cooperation with strategic allies and supporters. Our members consist of leading global organizations like the SYMPOSIUM Cement Group, Procter & Gamble, PepsiCo, just to name a few. And our allies include non-governmental organizations and development agencies like the United Nations UN Habitat, the German Development Agency, GIZ, but also cooperation with USAID and the World Economic Forum's Global Plastic Action Pact. It is estimated that $120 billion worth of plastic waste is lost to the environment because many cities just do not have proper systems to manage post-use plastics. And for the Alliance, we don't just want to end plastic waste in the environment. We want to turn plastic waste into a valuable resource. Turning waste to worth is needed if the world wants to transition into a circular economy. I'm also pleased to share with you that despite the challenges this past year, the Alliance has been able to progress from 5 projects in 2 cities to today being responsible for the implementation of 25 projects in 10 cities. These projects cover action areas like cleanup, collection, sorting, and processing, but we are also focusing on education and engagement. And we are confident that the plastic waste challenge, leakage, is a challenge that is solvable. And it is solvable because countries like Thailand are moving in the right direction. Today, multiple efforts are underway. And with the support of local industries and global non-profit organizations like ourselves, collaboration and partnership with others on the ground is already a reality. Some examples of our public-private partnerships include a project in Jembrana in the northwestern part of Bali in Indonesia. Here we established Jembrana's first ever solid waste management service with a full recycling system that will create new and permanent jobs for the municipality. By learning from Jembrana, we will now be able to scale and replicate these solutions across more than 30 communities and cities in Indonesia in the near future. And we also have projects in India and in Vietnam where we are working with Zero Plastic Waste Cities initiative, a combined vision of the Alliance and the Grameen Creative Lab that was founded by the Nobel Peace Laureate Professor Yunus. I believe the Alliance is making strong progress, but we need real solutions and we need them a lot faster. The world will overcome COVID-19 and Asian cities like Bangkok will continue to attract growth. But rapid urbanization will put pressure on waste management systems that cannot cope with growing waste streams. And for any city to be sustainable and resilient, I believe it must adjust and even transform their waste management systems to cope with modern changes and meet citizens' expectations. In this aspect, I'm delighted that the Alliance will be working with the Thailand Public-Private Partnership for Plastic Management, or PPP Plastic, in the mission of developing sustainable solutions for the management of plastics and municipal solid waste. Apart from technical expertise, I'm also delighted that the Alliance will provide funding support to PPP Plastic in pilot waste management projects in Bangkok and the Rayong province. Ending plastic waste in the environment is not just about sustainability. It's about vision and it's about leadership. And we have a real opportunity to step up, lean in, and take responsibility, just like many of our member companies. Thailand has led the way in many of these initiatives, and like you, we are committed to action. And we are very delighted to be on this journey with you. Thank you very much.
Hello and welcome. It is my great privilege to be with you all today. But first, I must congratulate and thank Kun Rongrot and the entire team at SCG. Even with all of the challenges we face in the world today, the fact that this conference is going ahead, the fact that thousands of you are dialed in to watch this, is testament to the resolve and the conviction of SCG to further the cause of circularity and sustainability, and indeed, it's evidence of how important this issue is to all of us to collectively solve. I'm very proud to be here representing Unilever. For those who may not know a little bit about our company, we're a consumer products company. Today we operate in 190 countries around the world. We have 160,000 employees, and every day around the world, 2.5 billion people each day use a Unilever product. Some of those products include some of the ones that you'll see here. They fall under 3 of our main divisions. We have a home care business, household cleaning products, detergents. We have a beauty and personal care business in Thailand, brands like Sunsilk and Lux and Axe and Dove. And indeed our food and refreshment business, delicious ice cream treats like Magnum and Walls, our Knorr brand in food, and interestingly, we also have a very large food solutions and food service business, which serves small restaurants and large chains everywhere in the world. We're a very large business, and these brands is what powers our business and our relationships that we have with individuals and communities around the world. It is very important to us, through our brands and through this commitment, that we are a meaningful, positive contributor to the societies in which we operate. In fact, this purpose, to make sustainable living commonplace, is the very reason we exist. It's enshrined in our purpose document. It's why the 160,000 people that work for Unilever come to work every day. We believe that our business can be a force for good through this purpose. And we also believe that we have 3 fundamental beliefs which drive this purpose. The first is that these brands, brands with purpose, grow. In fact, 70% of the growth in our business is driven by brands that have purpose. That our people and people with purpose thrive. That's why we invest significantly in training and development for our people, and indeed, we pay our people responsible wages, we give adequate health care, particularly important now more than ever. And lastly, it's that companies with purpose last. It's a very simple view. You cannot have a long-term healthy business on a sick planet. The equation doesn't work. Next month in Thailand, Unilever will celebrate its 88th birthday on December 20th. We've been in constant operations as a One Unilever organization for 90 years, and much of our success is driven by the fact that we take a long-term view on the world and in our business. 10 years ago, we enshrined some of these long-term views in what we then called our Unilever Sustainable Living Plan. This wasn't a separate CSR initiative that stood alongside our major operations. In fact, this was stitched in to our company. We would prove that we could be a prosperous business enterprise and be a sustainably minded force for good in the world. 10 years ago, we said that we wanted to improve the health and well-being of over 1 billion people in the planet. That number is roughly around 1.3 billion people that have been touched over the last decade with our programs, things like self-esteem programming for young boys and girls through our Dove brand, through improved access to sanitation with our Domestos brand globally, hundreds of millions that don't have access to clean toilets, that makes them sick. We feel we have a responsibility and an obligation and the unique ability to make an impact there, and so we did. We committed to halving our environmental footprint, cutting it by 50%. In fact, we've done that, at least done that or better in many areas. CO2 emissions, we source 100% of our energy sustainably. We have gone in Thailand zero waste to landfill 3 years ahead of time, delivering that ambition in 2015. That's 5 years now we've been zero waste to landfill in this country. And importantly, given our footprint, we have 160,000 direct employees. By any measure, we have several million that each day come to work representing our company through indirect suppliers and partners that we work with. We take responsibility for them too. We believe that enhancing livelihoods should be what all large organizations have as a core responsibility. In fact, we do that for the people that work with us. We work directly with small retailers, many of whom are struggling to stay afloat, particularly now, ensuring different credit privileges and treatments, and providing special privileges to those organizations so that they can stay afloat and build prosperous businesses for their sons and daughters through generations. These are all just some of the commitments we've made. In fact, there are over 170 of them that we set out to achieve over the last decade. And by and large, our success rate has been pretty good. Don't take my word for it. Leading institutions like GlobeScan and like the Dow Jones Sustainability Index have said and have rewarded Unilever for several years in a row as being the leader when it comes to sustainability in our business practices. And while, of course, the good people at Unilever take a tremendous amount of pride from being recognized, this is not at all why we do it. In fact, the challenges we all face are so significant that it isn't about the accolades, it's about impact. It's why I come to work every day. It's why I've been with the company for 23 years. But after 10 years of the Sustainable Living Plan, we asked ourselves some very, very difficult questions. We've made so much progress, and yet the world is actually further behind. So we needed to redouble our efforts and make more substantial commitments to the planet and to our communities in which we serve. Six of the main commitments are here on the board. The first is, earlier this year, we announced that over the next 10 years, we will contribute 1 billion euros, 100 million euros a year, in what we are setting up as a climate action fund. We have committed to being zero net emissions throughout our operations, from sourcing to end use, by 2039. That is 11 years ahead of the Paris agreements. We will have a deforestation-free supply chain by 2023. That is around the corner, and we're making great progress to achieve that. We're working with partners, particularly farmers, to empower smallhold farmers so they have a viable and sustainable way forward. In fact, in Thailand, we source 100% of our rice sustainably. We pay a premium for it. It's Thai sustainable rice. All of our suppliers are signed on to a regenerative code in agriculture. That means if they don't have sustainability practices in their operations, then they will not be doing business with Unilever. We are using our size and scale to prompt and coerce better activities through our entire value chain. And then lastly, we are investing 100 million euros in water stewardship programs around the world in some of the most water-stressed areas. Again, here in Thailand, we know very well the impact of floods and droughts that they can have on the economies. On plastic specifically, an area that I am personally very passionate about, in the area of probably the greatest collaboration between our organization and SCG, where we've made great progress, but I'm very excited about the next chapter of our relationship together. We have made equally ambitious commitments. In 2025, by 2025, we'll be 100% reusable, recyclable, or compostable in all of our plastic materials around the world. We will cut in half our use of virgin plastic. In half, 50%. And, importantly, we will collect more plastic than we sell everywhere in the world. How will we do that? There are three big areas. Where we all need to collaborate is on the areas of education. Today, still, people don't realize how much of a crisis this is. That's not anyone's individual fault. Collectively, organizations, NGOs, governments all need to work on better education throughout societies and communities, and we all need to collaborate to solve these issues. We need infrastructure. 9 of the 10 largest ocean polluters in the world are Asian countries. Why is that the case? The thing they all have in common is that there's no collection systems, formal, proper collection systems. By the way, even where there are formal collection systems, the recycling rate isn't great either. Through education and better infrastructure, we can take plastics out of the klongs, out of the rivers, out of the estuaries, off the soils, out of the landfills, and put them back in the economy. Give value to that waste, and take products that otherwise will be discarded and give them a domestic economy. That's a stimulant to the Thai economy, it's a stimulant to all the economies around the world, and we want to play a central role in helping stimulate that through our size and our influence throughout the value chain, and indeed through our partnerships with people like SCG. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Thank you very, very much for attending today on this critically important issue of embedding circularity deeper into our operations and into our communities and societies. Kapun krap. Thank you very much.
Swadee Krap. Hello everybody, my name is Poom, and today I'm going to tell you about my experience in waste management. Now, I know most of you here care about the world and try to save it in ways that you can, and that's awesome. But have any of you ever had a plastic waste-free day? I believe many people have tried with varying degrees of success, and with some thinking, it's too hard. I was once like that, thinking that it was too difficult to do anything about. But it's actually easy. Let me tell you about my experience. Back in 2017, when I was homeschooled in grade 4, my mom read me part of the book, The Story of Stuff. I learned that so many things were thrown away very quickly and have a very short life. So after a small discussion with my parents, I decided to start a homeschool project called Mission to Green, where we'll set a goal of how many plastic items we would reduce in a month, and we'll keep track of it using a small chart. We quickly surpassed our goals and initial expectations, as many of the things we use nowadays are actually unnecessary, such as using one whole plastic bag to carry only one small packet of gum. If you total up all the plastic bags you get from all the different stores you visit during the day, it's a lot. So we simply refuse the plastic bag and put the product in our pocket instead. At the beginning, we focused on reducing plastic waste in our daily life by carrying reusable bottles, such as this one. Everyone in my family has a reusable bottle, and we use them all the time. We also carried food containers and lunch boxes when we went out to buy our meals. And we even switched places we did grocery shopping from a supermarket to a fresh market, simply because in fresh markets there's less plastic packaging. We eventually took this far enough to a point where we didn't have enough plastic bags to store our trash in. Can you believe that? We did find a solution to this problem though. We reused the plastic packaging that came with the things we bought. Surprisingly, plastic sacks of rice are really good at storing sharp objects such as broken plates, broken glass, and just typically other things that I managed to break. And on top of reducing, we reuse the unavoidable plastics and packaging materials as far as we can. For me, personally, I use cardboard from parcels to make toys for my brother. We also use glass jars to organize stuff for storage. Waste separation is a crucial part of reducing and reusing and recycling. Some people might feel overwhelmed when they hear waste separation, but it's actually not complicated. Simply separating food waste and dry waste greatly reduces the amount of waste that would otherwise go to the dump or to Mother Nature. Our family, to be honest, we're not perfect at waste separation, but we're getting better. What we've been doing since 2017 for dry waste is separating it into more subcategories, such as electronic waste, batteries, plastics, paper, cardboard, etc. Now, if we can't handle it by ourselves, then we pass it on to someone or some organization who can dispose of it properly. Recently, my dad took 5 old iMac computers to the Apple store just so they can be handled properly. I want everyone to know that all this is very easy. You can save the world with just simple steps, such as refusing unnecessary plastic bags, carrying around your own water bottle, and separating food waste and dry waste. Start with these, and soon enough you'll notice the amount of waste in your home go down, and in no time at all, you'll be living a new normal, eco-friendly lifestyle. Thank you. Swadee Krap.
ขอขอบคุณแขกรับเชิญในช่วง
Thanks for the speakers during the inspiration talk. We have seen the commitment of implementing circular economy in government sector, collaboration projects in global level, and to implement in our daily life. That's very admiring. And today, even if we have been affected by COVID-19 situation, but we have not abandoned our intention to expand circular economy. And everybody can collaborate with SCG by implementing these principles in your daily life, starting from your personal life to your organization. And especially today, we are having the eco-friendly event under the principle carbon nutrient symposium. And today we have this event online. People do not have to travel, and we can reduce carbon footprint and CO2 emission footprint compared to last year event. Besides, we have carbon offset project to reduce carbon dioxide in organizing the event, and we can reduce 15,804 kilograms of CO2 emission. And we have this project to use the heat in Gangkhoi, Saraburi cement factory. We have been inspired already, and everybody can see that we can implement circular economy principle in all the things in our life. And the next session would be a discussion forum, and it's a collaboration to drive circular economy in Thailand. And before this event, we had organized a workshop, and we had more than 200 participants from all sectors, and they are joining our seminar today and to find the new ideas for a new solution. Before we enter into the discussion session, I would like to show you what we have done to brainstorm the ideas during the last few months. If you're ready. Good afternoon, distinguished guests. Everybody who are watching us through the online www.sdsymposium.com. My name is Kitty Singhapat. Will be the moderator today, especially during this very important session from now on, is the proposing of the new collaboration approach for circular economy. What you have just watched just now, you can see that we are facing a lot of crisis in this world. In terms of natural resource, we are overusing the natural resource because of the increased number of population, and of course it has a lot of impacts on our planet. And you have seen the example just now, the examples of the solution, but the solution has not been implemented enough. So this forum is a very important forum because this big problem wouldn't be solved if everybody doesn't collaborate. So we need to help each other. In what level? We need to think and to join in pushing forward the new practices. And SDG Symposium has been organized for 11 consecutive years, and what everybody has agreed on is the principle of circular economy. We talked about water and waste, and this year we are going to talk about the same thing because SCG would like circular economy to be the solution, the real solution. From 2019 we had only 45 alliances, and this year we have 180 alliances. This is a collaboration of all sectors, and they have created innovations, and there are a lot of pilot projects which leads to substantial solution. Many projects. During the last 1 month, there is a forum for people to brainstorm, and we got the proposals of solutions to enhance this collaboration. And at the end of the day, we will achieve the goal to make this sustainable. And this is the forum that we will propose the approach and solutions that everybody is implementing. What you just heard from the 4 speakers in the last hour, and I think this could be very good inspiration for you. And today is how we are going to approach to drive everything forward. We have been honored by 5 speakers. These are not just the representatives, because these are people who really put the principles into practice. And the main thing for this year is a circular water management and a reuse of water and agree circular economy. And many of you may think that this is the big problem is from the construction industry. You may think that it's not a big deal, but actually it's really a big deal nowadays. So this year you will get to learn from our 4 panelists. The first one is Kun Sumet Tantivichakun, the chairman of Utokapat Foundation under royal patronage of His Majesty the King. Secondly, Emeritus Professor Dr. Tosapon Sirisampan, former Secretary General of NESDC, and right now he is the chair of the consultants for the Prime Minister. And the third one is Kun Prapakon Watanyakun, the Managing Director of Architect 49 Limited Company. And he has worked quite a lot in architectural industry, which is the core of construction industry. So he is a very good part in driving our projects forward. The fourth one is Kun Nontikan Asarasagon. She is the next generation of business entrepreneur, and she is the she initiates a project to reuse plastic as the material. And the last one, Kun Bunmi Surakot, chairman of Large Scale Farming Association. So one solution for agriculture besides water recycle, because we need to also think about the byproducts from agriculture, open burning. Instead of open burning, we can use the byproducts and add value to these products and to make use of the byproducts. So the first one, may I invite Dr. Sumed, because he has worked in Utokapat Foundation. I think he has the experience in the root grass level until the top level, and we are talking about reuse of water. How could that be a solution? Kun Kitty, you may remember that we have talked about this for decades. It's been a long time. I do not really remember how long, but we are talking about the same problems. Water is life, and as His Majesty the King, the late Rama IX King, talked about all the time, and the problems had been increasing in terms of severity, and the climate is very uncertain. Sometimes it never rains, and this is an unprecedented problem that we have not faced before, the drought situation. And if we think about our water management, it's quite a worry, because each year we need about 120 to 150 billion cubic meters, and in terms of containers, be it the dam or pool or swamp or anything, we can contain only 80,000 cubic meters of water, and the actual amount is 40,000. You can see that the amount has been reduced each year, and next year it will be reduced to 20,000. This is quite a crisis. So we can see the picture now that the problem is very serious. So we need to be worried. What are we going to do? Of course, the government sector needs to look at the infrastructure, which is quite difficult nowadays. It's getting more and more difficult because of the business situation of our country nowadays. And for me personally, having worked for the King and worked for the Utokapat Foundation, and if we think about the success rate, right now the community have been successful in implementing the ideas themselves without the external assistance. And if the community do this by themselves, implement the ideas by themselves, at the end of the day, the foundation will be stronger. So the communities, the farmers, they do not wait for the assistance to arrive. So in terms of usefulness, the government sectors have really have really helped the farmers, and these people, these farmers, they can learn about the water situation in their own area. In the past, they do not know where the water comes from. They just wait for the rain to fall, and right now they are more educated. They know about which level of ground they are on. Are they high or are they low, where the water would come from? And the principle of water reuse, if we have low resource of water, how are we going to use it wisely? And we need to use the water and then reuse it again, not just to let it waste. and I used to go with Utokapat Foundation, and we visited this community, and they said that they do not have enough water because they have a rice farm. They have a farming area and in the lowland, and they start from growing rice in the lowland, and then they go up higher, and the water cannot go up with them. And we asked them to change their ways of farming by starting from upstream and then move down to midstream, and then to the shoulder of the hill, and then the water can be reused, and then they can move down and reuse the water. So this is the idea of water reuse. So we educate them with the ideas from Utokapat Foundation, and this is the solution. And once the communities have access to water resource, they understand the principle. They do not have water shortage anymore. They are sufficient in everything, from being in debt. They can pay back the debt, and they have increased their income. And there is a community in Dongkilek in Prachinburi province. There is a water reservoir less than 100,000 cubic meters, and people were still trying to grow rice around the area, and the water is not enough because rice needs a lot of water, about 10 times compared to other kinds of plants. And with the advice from the king, they can create their own water reservoir. And every household, they dig up the ponds by themselves, and right now they have more water than in the reservoir itself. So water management is simple. Once the rain falls, the rain is contained in a pool or in a reservoir, and you can use the rainwater for the farming, and then you can have the water. You can circulate the water to refill another pond or another reservoir, and to reuse the water. And right now this area is a main producer, a main production of flowers and fruits, and they are living sufficient economy right now. And I asked them how much money they make, and they cannot answer my question. They just say that they are living in a sufficient economy. And right now we have a fund of 480 million baht. They have this fund. We can see that it's really substantial. So it's okay. So in conclusion, we know what the problem is, and we have seen the success, and we have seen these problems solved across the nation. And during this meeting, I had 3 proposals. The first one is to gather different organizations. Can we grow from 180 today to 1,800 organizations in our alliance? And these alliances can help the community. It's good that we have the government sector with us today to help, to support, and to promote. We talked about Pracharat project, which consists of the governments, the people, and the business sectors, and we can work together and help each other if we work together. From these 3 sectors, if we work together, I am confident that we will overcome the shortage problem, and we will become abundant and can be the center of food for the world. And it's very clear that we have plenty of food and we survived the lockdown.
นี่เป็นตัวอย่างที่สัมผัสได้เป็นเพียงบางส่วน
Thank you so much, Professor. So this is just only a part. Actually, there are many people who are working for solutions, but the question is how can we expand, as the doctor said, the alliance and partnership. Now let's come to the actual farmers. As Dr. Sumed pointed out, that was just an example. But actually, in Thailand, the agriculture landscape is quite varied. There are certain limitations. If you are working in the northeastern, it will be one thing, and other, it will be other thing. You used to work in your community and you become the large size farming, but for Dr. Sumed's circular water economy, is it the actual solutions or is there any shortcoming? Or today, what we are doing today, are we good enough or is there any other way? Actually, when speaking of farmers, what we have been facing all around is drought and flooding, the same cycle repeats. This is what we have been facing all along. So if you want to solve the problem, like Doctor said, it's applicable to certain locations because we have different geography. In certain area, we might not be able to do that. So the reason why we create a large-scale farming association, this is another direction that we need to put together our thoughts, because in your success cases, there are actually many success stories, but the point is, the key thing is we need to develop the farmers themselves. We need to equip them with the right skill. As a profession, actually, they have been doing this for such a long time, but what they need is just some more skills to make the most out of the existing resource, like water. Water has always been an issue in Thailand. So different location needs to design their own solution to make it suitable to their local farmers, and we need to consider the context for each location. For example, if you go to paddy field, in certain areas it might not be suitable for growing rice, so we need to rethink about if we want to grow rice because paddy field might not work, so when they might need to switch to other crop. Can we switch from paddy field to other types of crops? We need to work together and learn from each other. So the most important thing is we need to equip the farmers with new skills and to help them become a true professional in their farming professions, because we have so many kind of crops and our geographies are very different, and this is a big issue. So resource use, yes, it is very important because the world is changing very fast. So as a farmer, you need to catch up with the world's change. You need to start with some pilots. They need to start somewhere. If you have a good pilot, an example within a community, they can go on. We already have some basis. If we equip them with some more skills and start small, start with just to show the success, right? Yes, we need to have an example in a community. If we can have a pilot so they can learn from each other and then expand to the provincial level. If we can gather those databases, we can tell if in that particular province, how much land do we have, how much agricultural land, what kind of fruits, vegetable, or crops that they are growing. If we can have this big data database, we can do that. And it has to be accurate so we can work together. Not just the farmers, but other stakeholders must work together. We need to create a pilot, an example. So once we have a good example on how we manage the farming in different aspects, in agro-business, for example, and to tell them how to manage the existing resource, like in northeastern region, we really run out of water because we don't have enough. So there are certain limitations. If you want to design a system, if we can create a pilot, put together a group of farmers and they can learn from each other and look for their solutions, it can be successful. But it can be successful if other stakeholders also take part in this effort, like the public sector, the private sector, the farmers themselves, and the academics. All stakeholders must work together in order to achieve that. If we can create a more integrated model so the farmers can see the change more significantly, because we need to pool together our resources to maximize its use. So that is how we can solve the problem, because today we have many pilot models, yes, many, but the most important thing is we need to help driving the policy, not just the practice. If the policy cannot, let me tell you that in the province, if you change the provincial leader like the governor, if you change the position too often, the policy cannot continue. But you can see from the big data database, if you stick to that, it doesn't matter who is the governor, they have to continue their projects. So this is how we can solve the problem in such situation where the world's changing very fast. The farmer has to wake up to, they have to move on, and they have to step forward to adjust themselves and adapt. Unless they adapt, they cannot catch up with the change in the world, because they need to catch up with the world. Unless the impact will go back to the farmers. In the end, it will fall like domino down to the grassroots level. Shortly, sir, besides of water, you also talk about the circular economy. And in circular economy, we also talk about how can we use and maximize the use of agricultural materials. For example, we don't have to burn all those leftover and turn it into other products. As a farmer, how can we improve the situation today? About that, we already have some pilot models to maximize the use of the agro leftover. Like if you grow sugarcane or grow rice, there are certain pilot campaigns. How can we use the leftover hay and from the threshing and turn it into animal feed and turn it into fertilizer or turn it into some other products. And the leftover of the root part, we try to pull it back to the ground to create more organism in the soil. So it's like adding fertilizers in the soil automatically. That is manageable. We have some pilots, but we cannot really replicate that success. So that's why I say that we need to have a pilot model for each province or each community so they can replicate that success in their community. For the leftover hay or even the sugarcane stump, if we can turn it into biomatters, it can help reducing so many other problems like PM 2.5 because we need to burn those stumps because the farmer didn't intend to create those PM, or sometimes it's just a Wi-Fi, sometimes it wasn't in their intention, but it happens. In that case, the farmer has to try to follow the policy if they want to achieve what we want to achieve together. For example, if you want to turn the stump into fertilizers, how much organism can we create in the soil and how much PM can we do in a year, and we can collect the data for the next 2-3 years. As we continue, we can see the difference, but we need to keep track on the bioorganism in the soil and can we actually reduce our fertilizer cost, and in the end PM 2.5, how much can we reduce with no burning. This can help us, this can show us the answer for circular economy. And in the end, yes, we want no waste. For our pilot model, we think as far as to use the hay and turn the leftover hay into packaging, for example, to try to achieve zero waste. This is part of the pilots. It has to be good for your pocket, not just for your forest, right? So, Dr. Sumed and Kun Tosapon, Kun Bunmi, you talk about two parts. Alright, the farmers are doing it now, but what about the private sectors? The private sectors are supporting, but another very important mechanism is the measurement. As they mentioned, we need to find a way to measure the success. Can you give me some more elaborate details about the measurements? It's actually part of our national strategies. We have already put our position in the green economy. We have declared our position in BCG, as we said, and our national strategy has been translated into the mother plan for execution. We also have many plans about whatever we talk about today. We have 3 or 4 plans too that we talk today, and about the water management, we also have indexes and measurements for the water sustainability, and that's the country's direction, which is where we are heading to. But however, the momentum is not enough today, but I have to thank COVID, especially for helping us think about what we do again and again. And because we started to see that we are pretty much reliant on the foreign countries, we are like a production base for many countries, but when they change their production base, we face the problem where we are running out of work and our tourism is not sustainable. We try to bring in like 40-50 million people from other country. We love our income, yes, but when there's COVID, we don't have our tourists, so we need to look for other way to get through it. Especially when I take part in the project to get additional stimulus fund from the government, that 400,000 million is like the igniter to ignite the change. Actually, we have to follow what Dr. Sumet say. We can enjoy our economic prosperity, but we enjoy it too much and we forget about the grassroots development like the basic foundations or local economy. We didn't care much about that before, so today we have the lesson, and I think it is not too late for us to go back to try to improve the basic, like the local economy, which is supposed to be stronger than what it used to be, and we need to rely on the agriculture to help improving the local economy, and that is why we are focusing on the strategies from now on to improve the agriculture sector. But it's not traditional agriculture, it has to be a modern agriculture, like Kun Bunmi said. It has to be such as the large scale farming and modern farming, and most importantly, as Dr. Sumet pointed out, we need to focus on food industry. We need to try to make the most out of our agricultural produce, put some R&D in and increase its value from rice, from chili, from doesn't matter what kind of crop it is. If you sell it as kilogram or tons, with units sold, we only get a little amount of money. But if we can turn it into extract, we can extract more value out of our agricultural produce, and in the end, it will feed the whole system. This is what we are trying for. So what we are doing today, we are focusing more on BCG. As I said, we have cascade the national strategy down to regional level strategy. Like the northern region is more the northern bio thing. As we say, different location, different regions are different. So for the northern region, we have the northern bioeconomy, and the northeastern we have the bioeconomy for the northeastern region, and the same applies to the southern region. So the budget and stimulus fund that we invested, actually we invested in so many things. First, we want to solve the basic problems right at the root. For example, the modern economy, smart farming, for example, that we applied it to all the sub-districts. Like Kun Bunmi said, we want to have a pilot model for each community. So on behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture and Ministry of Interior, we want to develop the pilot and to invite the local community, the rest of them who are not in the pilot campaign, to adjust and to follow suit the success stories. This is what we have to invest in the basic economy. And we want to bring the new graduates down to the field so they can collect all the data, so we can create enough big data database to help us continue with analytics, such as zoning and anything else. That's another project. And we also have the project for future sustainable growth. And as I said, we try to focus on anything from the upstream, midstream, and downstream. And we have numbers of projects in each of the stream for the economic corridor, which is varied by the location as well. Like the upstream project, like he said, we want to produce more probiotics that will improve the soil quality. That's the upstream. And we also have the water campaigns that can help us improve our production side. And then on the other hand, we have projects such as biorefineries in the southern region, especially, that we produce a lot of oil and gas. That will be a different kind of production for biochemicals. And with that, it will change the produce from each location and turn it into value-added product. But most importantly, we also have to think about the marketing, which is the downstream side. And all of this, the government intended to create the national e-commerce platform to help bringing together all the produce from all locations to the cloud. And during COVID, we have done lots of things. As you can see, we sold a lot of products online. So in normal situation, we cannot really achieve that. But Kun Kitti and our special guests, this is what we have been trying to do. We have already shifted our gear. So our theme for this year is acceleration. We want to run faster and make things happen. And this is the right time. And I believe that we, public sector, private sector, and social enterprises, together we can drive this, make it happen, and so we can achieve the sustainable development goal for Thailand. Thank you, sir. I believe that you have seen the answer and you can see the connection between the partnerships of PPP, and it's happening, right? And now coming to waste. The waste was last year's main theme for SD Symposium, and actually, Mr. Minister was there yourself. But there are so many kinds of waste. Plastic waste is one of the biggest issues. And Kun Nontikan, I heard that you have turned, like, is that your product, right? That's your product. You turn waste into things like this. How can you turn it into such a luxury product? How can it happen? How could it how can you come with this kind of campaign and ideas, and how can you follow the business campaign? คุณอธิการ where did you start? If you ask me in terms of environment, I started to see that the newer generation has better awareness in terms of environment, but the problem might be that we don't know what to do. We might not have maybe a handbook to tell us how can we sort the waste, or how can we create circular economy, or how can we simply save the world. But it's like we started to see the trend in our generation that we must do it, but each of us might have different ways. It depends on your knowledge or your belief. I am just a young lady where I think that I should take part in doing things differently. So I start with our business. In my family, we produced plastic mats for 50 years. Yes, this kind of plastic mats. But you use new plastics. Yes, we use the same kind of plastic as you can see in many places around the country. But we see that it is plastic, and plastic is quite a problem. Plastic is quite... Not many people like plastic, right? So we start thinking about what we can do. So we replace our plastic with recycled plastic. From using new plastic, switching to more and more recycled plastic while producing the same product, like the mat, plastic mat. And then today we are at 100% recycled plastic. And then, besides of mats, we turn our mats into other kinds of products. We can turn it into bags and many other types of products, like reeds, yeah, plastic reeds. Yes, it's made of plastic mats. We can turn the mat into plastic reeds for funerals. As I say, we are using 100% recycled plastic, and we also help with the downstream side because this product will not turn into waste even after the actual use, because it can be about waste. There are many kinds of waste, for example like agriculture waste and water waste. When we look at plastic, okay, plastic is part of the waste, but in the funeral business there are so many waste like flowers and wreaths and garlands and all kinds of materials that they use in the waste and in the funeral. So we try to connect them upstream and downstream, so we can return the used plastic, turn it into another production, upcycle it and turn it into other kinds of products. As you know, plastic is quite durable, it lasts very long. But people think about plastic as, long-lasting plastic is not the downside. It's not biodegradable. You think that it's danger to the environment, but we look at it differently. Because it lasts longer, we believe that it's an advantage. We can turn the plastic into different kinds of product, reuse it, and repeatedly use it until it goes to the end of its life. So this kind of risk, you can just, you can turn it into other use after the funeral is over. It's a proper mat with a seat. And what about other materials? What about the used plastic? How can you find used plastics for your production? We bought it from recycle facility in Thailand. This recycle facility is the one who collect these plastic waste and recycle it. Where do you sell your products, sir, ma'am? Online? Wow, just like what she said. It has to be e-platform. I think in the future you can sell your mats on the platform. And what about in a year? With this business, how much plastic can you absorb in your product in each year? Our business is quite small, so maybe it's quite small scale, maybe 10-20 tons per year, roughly. So this example seems like a small one, but actually it can help us reuse and upcycle the plastic. But if there are more people doing this, maybe from 40 to 180 to 1,800, the same applies. If we started to do more and more like this, this is what we need, and we need to do more of this. Now, let's go to that side. This is a small example, but it's a very good example. Last year, we also talked about something very big. We talked about all kinds of management systems. But this year, what else that you would like to do, sir, about waste? Maybe like other kinds of management, because waste comes together with the resource, because we use lots of resources, and after use, all the resources goes to waste if we don't manage them carefully. If we don't start today, we will see something within our lifetime. And actually, I started to see that the garbage will flood the system, and we even pass it on to our next generations. So we need to think about that carefully. So we need to do something, at least as a human being. In the numbers that we have seen, we came up with many concepts like recycle, reduce, reuse, that 3R things, and many other concepts. But when you look at the other R, the reality, we can only recycle as many as 10%, 10 plus percent plastics. From 1.9 million tons, I think we can recycle only as little as 0.36, very tiny proportion of plastic recycled. So it's not enough. So how can we accelerate that? Just like water. Kun Kitti, I know more about what's in the field because I always work on the ground by myself. At the community level, they started to do something by themselves, and they have been quite successful. And as I mentioned earlier, if we can turn the waste into something more valuable, this is the key. It's not just waste for waste's sake. Waste can become something more valuable. We even have numbers of study that waste becomes wealth. You need to turn waste into wealth. So the local community already started. And to begin with, we can just sort the waste because there are many hidden treasure. There are paper, there are plastics, there are cups, there are metal, there are even fresh products. Fresh product seems like a waste, but if you can turn it into fertilizer, how much can that be, right? So if we can manage the waste more efficiently from the pile of waste that we dump it into the dump ground every year that causes pollution, it can turn it into some people's income, not a waste anymore. We have seen success cases so many places. I have to repeat the same in this page. Yeah, from the local community, we have the zero waste community. This is about to manage the recycle using 3 R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle. And another one, recently, we have invited the example from Taiwan, because Taiwan is a very faithful people, like Master War at Rai Cheung Tawan already joined us. They have become the center of recycle and recycle knowledge for the local community. You know, they are very famous for turning plastic bottles into monks' robes, those saffron color robes. Yeah, the actual one that they wear, it actually came from plastic bottles, and it has become very popular, and the monks really like it because they say that it is very good in hot weather. I never do that. Maybe I have to become a monk so I can have a taste of that new robes. Another example is at Simum market. You know, market is like, you know, that big wet market with, you know, a lot of fresh product waste. And with fresh vegetable, people really hate that because it's not easy to manage. So they came up with an idea to kill 3 birds with 1 stone, because they can reduce the cost and turn it into fertilizer and more income. So that's what they did, and that's what we have seen in those examples. And at Jula, yeah, another example, the smart community management, like the housing communities, they put together a team to do a lot of management things in their local community, and it helped us reduce a lot of waste. At Jula, we started to use the term that we call CU zero waste. When you go to Chulalongkorn University, you can see that everybody carries their own bottle or flask to avoid using the single-use paper or plastic cups. Everybody carry their own bottles, and it's more safe, and especially during COVID, so they don't have to get contaminated by other people's cups. And we also have GRBN, which is the private sector's partnership to help driving the social enterprises like Song Plastic Kap Ban or Zero Waste Vipawadi. It's just like water. We need a lot of collaborations from the public sector. I really appreciate your effort, Kutasapon, that joined us today. So we need you to, with such collaboration, we can drive these projects. And we also have many suggestions from the ground. And first, we have to admit that, Kun Kitti, our environment law is very weak. It's not suitable for the modern world. We need to revamp the law and regulations so we can take it more seriously, especially the waste management. I don't know. We hardly understand what you want to do. How come Singapore can do that? Singapore is even worse. I don't know how can they do that. But they can take it more seriously. That's how they did it. Maybe we need to have some extreme measure like that. And about the policy, maybe I need to ask for your help, Mr. Tosapon. And yes, the packaging. Do you have the label? The label that indicates that this bottle can be recycled, this kind of material can be recycled. A label can help telling people, especially the organization. Yeah, we need a big sticker, sir. It's too small today. We need a bigger sticker. Yes, and also green procurement. The government has to take it more seriously. And Kun Tosapon's job, once again, you have a lot of things to do, sir. Sometimes we have laws and regulations, but it cannot be translated into practice. So, enforcement is another key. And next, we need to raise awareness and create a new value. And I used to comment that we need to have some kind of rewards for those who do like tax incentive, for example. Maybe please consider that if a company or an organization or a factory, if they can recycle their product, the product that they produce especially, and if they can reuse or upcycle it, they might have some tax reduction to attract them to do something. We need a lot of tools to push and pull because this problem can be alleviated with the right measure. So, in summary, we have another summary for that, but let's take to the next page. We have seen the example, and it looks like something very light. It seems like it can be easily usable. But what about the construction waste? Those small dust particles from construction, I used to have an experience a few years ago. My next door tear down the whole wall, and the contractor just, I don't know where did they throw the leftover bricks. Maybe it's somewhere around here, along the road. This is quite a big issue in Thailand. Sir, what about people in the construction business? What are you doing at the moment? How do you work with this problem?
Firstly, actually, there are many types of waste. Plastic waste is a part of them. In Thailand, we are one of the top countries with a lot of plastic waste throwing into the ocean. So actually we have very nice ocean. Thailand has very nice ocean. I went to Bali one time and I could see that they are very serious in waste management, and the shops around the shops in the country, they do not give plastic back to their customers because they are focusing on their tourism, and they have the people to remove garbage from the beaches. And many of you might not know that construction waste is 20 to 25% of all the materials that we use nowadays. If you have a chance to go to some resorts or national park in Bangkok or in other provinces, you can see that during the last decades there are a lot of new resorts and hotels being constructed, and you might have seen the garbage, a pile of garbage full of piles, full of foundation materials, tiles that they throw away, aluminum. These are not degradable. And glasses and tiles. So these are the kind of waste which comprises 20 to 25% of the whole amount. So SCG, we are a part of the problem because we create heavy waste. So I invited this group of people to create a group of alliances with all the sectors, And SCG 3 years ago, we invited the sectors related to construction industry, designers, contractors, and all people who are involved in construction industry. Back then we had less than 10 alliances, and we discussed on this topic, which is very important, and we thought that we need to enhance the ideas to other companies. For example, we have 300 architect companies. This does not include engineering companies and contractor companies. So this is our duty, one of our duties. So SCG is trying to create a network, and we try to find out how are we going to solve these problems. And we started from the start. Right now we have about 30 alliances, and we are trying to invite more and more responsible companies. And once we get this group of alliance, we need to find the cause of the problems. Where does the garbage come from? Does it come from the misdesigning or the misalignment of the design? Of course, we can eliminate concrete rubbish, but if we can solve the problem from the source, from the designing steps, how can we reduce the scrap, the construction scrap? So we need to involve all parties in terms of materials and contractors and workers. So we have to include everyone in the industry. We used to work in a silo. The designers are doing their work, their jobs, and they do not care about others. So we have a lot of waste. And in terms of money, they waste a lot of money as well. And of course, their products become more expensive, and the customers have to buy more expensive products. So we are not alone. So we have to help each other. We can discuss. Of course, we can reduce the amount of steel, the steel scrap, or the pipes that they need to cut, and they have a lot of scraps. And right now we have very modern technology. Not all the things have to be done on site. Right now we have BIM or BIM software, that building information modeling. What does it mean? Right now, for designing, everything can be done on the platform, and we can see the amount of material before we go into action to really construct the buildings. So we are going in this direction, and people are going in more of this direction. So right now we have we've been doing this for 3 years right now for the alliances in SCG, and right now BIM is can be accepted by many academic institutions. So we need to, once the private sectors are doing this, the educational sectors have to accept the idea as well. And right now in academic situation, in academic institute, they teach their students how to use BIM. So okay, after the designers, once the designers have done their job, we come to the construction material manufacturer, because normally they have their brand, so they have the responsibility to collect the rubbish which is branded under their name. So it's just like the soda can. Right now, the soda can is under one soda can is under the responsibility of the manufacturer. So it's the same thing. Right now we don't have much time left. So right now, SCG is a major manufacturer, so we need to have a symmetrical system. And once we produce the construction products, we need to make sure that there would be no scrap. Okay, this is very important. We see pipes, and if I want to buy if I want to use just 1 meter long of pipe, but the store doesn't allow me to buy just 1 meter. They ask me to buy the whole pipe. So this idea is very important. Let's get back to Professor Tosapon. We already heard from Kun Pang and Kun Prapakon. And what about the challenges? What does the government see as the challenges and how to enhance the ideas? I think there are many success factors in terms of policy already. We have started already, but in terms of driving forward the policy, we need to help each other. You already heard from Kun Prapakon that, okay, during the designing steps, the architects do not talk to the engineers, and ministries are talking with each other. So it's like we have 4 or 5 fish bowls, so we need to find a stick to put the fish bowls in one place. So we need to have a mechanism in our discussion in terms of policy and to push forward the policy, because right now we are working in silo and we need to connect with each other, otherwise it would be too difficult. So this is in terms of the government sector, and a government sector alone cannot be successful. We need to work together between the civil society, associations, communities, and the government and everything. And from the past, they work alone. So we need to change our way of thinking. We need to work in partnerships. So the government needs to integrate the government agencies and need to work together with the civil society, communities, and business sectors. So we need to change our way of thinking. And SCG, we need to have the incentives for people who work on green economy, just like the speakers before me mentioned. And we could give them tax privilege if people buy green products or recycled products, and we need to give the privileges to those who apply the principle of green economy. And the third important factor is the funding source, to allow the community or startup business to conduct their business in BCG way. So we need to have the scheme, for example, low interest loan and other projects to help them. And lastly, people, the manufacturers and the society have to change their mindset, not to be too relaxed like in the past and throw the waste away. We need to change the whole mindset in our operation, and we need to enhance our own capacity to be successful. Sometimes we need to use apply digital technology. We need to use sensors or AI equipments and smart farming, and we have to improve the law as well. So we need to collaborate. We need to have the management system. We have to change the mindset, apply digital technology and the law. Everything that I mentioned need to come together to be the same BCG, to be one BCG. So we need to improve everything. Thank you so much. This is a very good opportunity to learn from all you guys and learn how to work together. So this is the last session. We are still on the forum of informing the data to you, and of course you have submitted all your proposals, so all of these are not connected. So Kun Sumet, could you please connect the ideas together? And from the brainstorming last month, we got to hear the suggestions from a lot of people from multiple alliances. May I invite Kun Sumet Tantiwechakul, Chairman of Upokapat Foundation, to be the representative to present all the approaches and ideas to drive forward circular economy. Please. After the brainstorming from all sectors, including more than 200 participants during the last month, to brainstorm and find a solution and to save the environment, especially upon the principle of circular economy. So we got a conclusion in 4 ways. Firstly, reuse of water. Number 2, waste management. Number 3, agri-circular economy. Number 4, circular economy in construction industry. So I would like to summarize each of these principles. The first one, water reuse management. We need to prepare for the drought crisis next year by implementing water reuse ideas and how to implement the technologies with educating at the same time, educating the farmers at the same time. Secondly, the private sector has helped each other and helped the communities. And we would like the government to enhance the project of water reuse management across the country so that we can see the substantial changes. Secondly, agri-circular economy. We suggest the farming which is free from open burning, which is a big problem nowadays, to reduce the global warming situation and to create additional income for the farmers. And right now we are spending about 25 billion baht a year for the budget, and we can have the community funding for the people in the community to have access to agricultural equipments. And thirdly, waste management in actions. And we propose enhancement of waste management as a national agenda by improvement and adding some provisions to the law in terms of waste management. Secondly, for the government to have measurements to support waste management and to give tax privileges as incentives for business owners to recycle plastic waste that they produce or sell to make benefits from the waste. And number 4, circular economy in construction industry. We are proposing to have the management system to promote implementing of technology for the highest benefit of resource management, and to reduce the construction waste and try to use wisely the construction material. And number 5, we may consider tax privileges as incentives for business owners to implement their projects and cooperate in these terms. So these are the four topics that we concluded from our brainstorming, and we started from 40 and right now we have about 180 or 200, and we hope to have more alliance in the future. And I would like to invite the government sectors, private sectors, and civil society to work together, and I'm sure we will be successful. So I am hopeful that everybody will cooperate and work together for our better life in the future and to pass on the heritage to our kids in the future. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Sumait Tantiwechakun, for topics from SD Symposium 2020 today. This is not too difficult to follow. From the brainstorming and hearing of the opinions, we have concluded that these four problems are very important and we have solutions, and these are practical. We have practical solutions that people are implementing in many places in Thailand, and you may think that they are focusing more on the government policy, but actually, at the end of the day, when we talk about circular economy, it means we need to complete the loop. To solve the problem, we have to begin from the start and then complete the loop. It won't be successful without people in the country to cooperate with us, to collaborate with us. So as a representative, I would like to challenge you who are watching us at home. Are you ready to work with us? Please come to join us. This is the problem that everybody takes part in creating. So we need to take part in solving the problems wherever you are. So today, thanks everybody for watching online. I will turn off the streaming on the stage for now, but for the media, please stay tuned. Don't go anywhere yet. We are going to have a media interview later. My name is Giti Singha, but thank you for joining us today. See you next year.